Welcome to Not Porn Giant Outfit Broken Movie. And why am I not using Thomas? The homeowner? Well, because I want to change up who will be. I would change up every time you get a new installment of Not Porn Giant Outfit Broken Movie. So today's topic: Incredible 2. How would I fit it? I've seen all the hatred of the movie of the Incredible 2. And I haven't rewatched it in a while, so take with this with a grain of salt. I've not rewatched the I rewatched the movie, and yeah, I can kind of see the idea of why no one likes it. Um, yeah, yeah, I can see that they should have aged up the characters, but you're probably wondering, how am I going to be able to fix it? You're probably wondering, that's the big question, right? You're wondering, how would I be able to fix the Incredible 2? Well, let's go through my message, shall we? Message number, I'm now going to have 3 messages from now on. Guys, there's going to be 3 messages I would use when I make an episode of this series from now on. Okay, message number 1. Okay, the first message is just taking the pre-existing movie, fix an element, and make it better. Message number 2, completely rewrite the movie. Completely rewrite the movie. Completely rewrite the movie. And message number 3, which is, I know, message number 3 kind of hard, is a bit of message number 1 and 2 combined together. Completely rewrite the movie, but yet keeping the original story intact. Okay, let's do message number 1 first. Like I said, message number 1, you're probably shocked saying, not Pawn. Do you really have 3 messages? 3 messages from now on, whenever you fix a movie? Yeah, I go. Message number 1 is, okay. Let's go through the movie, shall we? At the start of the movie, now, okay. Method number 1 won't work for a type of. Let's go through the movie, shall we? Now, I'm gonna do method number 2 in a minute. If I try to use method number 1 and it fails, here's how I would do this. I would use all 3 methods, but if one of them fails, I just move on to the next. So, let's use method number 1, shall we? Method number 1. As we see in the start of the movie, now I would totally get rid of this scene. And keep the story still intact, but instead, yeah. Method number 1 doesn't work, which is a bit of a shame. Okay, now we're moving on to method number 2. I don't know how to put timestamps in the videos, so right now, whatever time you're watching this video, I'm now moving on to method number 2. Method number 2 is completely rewriting the movie, changing everything about the characters. Okay, now here's how my version will go. At the start of the movie, we still get the Incredible 1. It still takes place a minute or 2 after the end of the Incredible 1. And you're saying, I thought you said you were going to rewrite the movie. No, isn't that what method number 1 is? You're kind of right, but But yet, here's what I would do. After that, have another 15-year time jump. Dash and Violet will both be in their 20s. Jack will be in the teen years. And, okay, the parents will be in their 50s. Will Violet and Dash be in their 20s. Violet be the oldest at 25 because she was 15. And Dash being the youngest at only 20. And Jack only reaching the ripe age of 13. Jack will reach the ripe, and Supers are still, well, it was shown in that montage at the beginning of the film. Like how in the first film there was a 15-year time gap between instead of Incredible. There, in one of the montages, the scene will be with dialogue from like the news. Now the Supers are back, and they moved into that house that we at least see in the final product. Now with method number 2, I'm going to use the final product and just add elements into it in the rewritten version. Okay, now Violet is going to get married in 5 days to Tony Reininger, which causes her to move back to their old home in St. Pablo, where her dad, now worn a beard, where her dad. Here's what the Incredible will look like 10 years later. This is what the Incredible will look like 10 years later. They will be what the character look like now. Now that you saw what the character looked like after, and then, yeah, the same film, the Green and Bob were shown halfway into the movie during a flashback that Rick Dicker died. How he died when you're saying the voice actor's alive? You might be wondering, how did he die if his voice actor was alive? Well, remember, this takes place 15 years after the events of the first movie. After Rick Dicker died. Rick Dicker sadly did die, as Bob remembered the moment he died. And now DevTech, Winston Dever, the CEO of a film company, talked to Jack, who works for DevTech, who works now for DevTech, in which you might be, Dash. Let me tell you what their jobs are. There will be no job that they all have. Their real job is being a superhero. In case you're wondering, what about their house? They will have Mr. Incredible during that montage at the start of the film. One news headline reads, Mr. Incredible got back the Incredimobile from now Becky. And guess who's still alive? Edna Moan. Yeah, that, and you're probably wondering, how is she possibly alive after so long? How is she possibly alive? If the movie takes place 15 years later, shouldn't she be dead? Let me look up how old Edna Moan is and be right back. Okay, I didn't get the answer online, so I'm going to do an educated guess to say that Edna's in her late 50s. Well, she was. Okay, so now she still designed the super suits, but with more heroes, there's a lot of heroes to make super suits for, and so she's now a billionaire. She's now making multi-billion-dollar off of a lot of stuff. And that has all gone to her. Now, in the moment, the fact Mr. Incredible once, and he was the first hero with a cape. He was the first ever hero, well, with a cape. You're probably thinking, didn't Edna say in Incredible 1, there's one line of dialogue? No capes! No, I'm telling my viewers. And my real name not Jason and not Pawn. She said no cape, which you're probably wondering, what did that mean for Mr. Incredible? Is this designed by Galbaki? No. Is that designed by Edna. Is that designed by Edna. But you're thinking to yourself, how can she possibly say no capes only forget to design a super suit with a cape for Mr. Incredible? Well, everyone had changed in the last 15 years. Edna went from saying no capes to maybe with capes. I mean, it has been another 15 years since those heroes died. So, 15 years... And we have the first Incredibles is set in 1947. Which is... I'm going to now talk about the story. The story goes that an old villain... An old villain is coming back to wreak havoc on the. Okay, that was. Every method had two phases. Phase 1 was just talking about the minor differences. Now phase 2 would actually be the actual story. Phase 2 is what I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so it's the same move. We will start off in school with Jack being the weird one, and he's actually in the same class that Dash was all those years ago. And now we cut to Dash and Violet in college. They're almost done with the big C, and Bob and Helen are dealing with the struggles of being old and not that more powerful they once were. Bob even looks at an old photo of himself from Mr. Incredible back when he wore the blue suit. And he said in this one line, And Helen said, being how they're both in their 50s, they're in their 50s, as they have photos of the wall in their house as Mr. Incredible said, Diner Guy. Or Diner Guy. Who's Diner Guy, Bob? Who's Diner Guy? Oh, hon. Diner Guy is Diner Guy. He was going to call himself Diner Guy, but then he didn't want to protect the diner he liked so much, and came up with the name Diner Guy all by himself. So what does that mean? We see all the super that die through the cable lane now function, now put up on the wall in the new house. Put up in the wall. They put up, and now I don't know what to call it. How much technology had changed in the last 15 years. the green flavor, I'm thinking, wait, you're thinking, didn't you remove that character? There, actually, no, I didn't. Well, kind of, I didn't. Well, this is why I think the perfect place to put him would be in a world where the tech, not that, well, let's just say, if the Incredibles is set in the 1950s, well, because if it's set in the 1950s, then 15 years later will be sometime in the 1970s. Now, Mr. Incredible misses the years of the past, where he was younger, more. As he got older, he get less strong. They're dealing with problems as they get older, which leave. And after they stop, the green saber from his plant. Notice how I said his, not her. Notice how I said his, because Evelyn Dever only appears in one scene in the movie. Because Evelyn Dever it actually works for Edna Moon now. She now works for Edna Moon. As Edna needed the help, so and she worked for Edna Moon to make superhero suits, and she was the one that suggested a cape. And then she told him, and then we see that same flashback that we saw in the first Incredible. Is that legit? And she said, no capes. Again, she said no capes. But then she told about. Okay, I had to do that with Thomas because Gordon didn't work. Now let's go back to where we were. Where were we? Oh yeah. When Evelyn Dever decided to tell the Edna Moon known in Mr. Incredible during the montage, actually the montage takes up a significant portion of the Incredible 2's run, where we see Bob Park get on his new, where we actually see them all get on their new suits, and she tells them that it's good to have them back, because my father loved. Now about her father, she still raised the money for the Dynamite Dr. Avery Park, but what does that mean for her father? You know the super got legal, but her dad would like one super too much out of the other. His name. Here's who her dad loved so much. Every time he got on the news, her dad would literally take a scissor and cut his photo out of the newspaper. But that ultimately led to its downfall. It was a while after the super were illegal. And also about the safe phone, about the super phones, where they were put in the safe room for obvious reasons. They were put in because the mother suggested that they put them in the safe room, even though they had a phone line to Daisy. being how much he loved ironic, but neither of them answered. And he said, "Fine, what do?" And then at the end of that sequence, wins. What happened? Said Mr. Incredible. What happened? She said. What happened? She said with some sad. They both died. My father tried contact Ironic and he tried again. He tried for and father, even though they had the super phones installed in the safe room for tornado season. Relax. For is it a good place to be when it? Yeah. For weather, not. And then, if only super. My brother wanted that supers. If only superhero would not make illegal, they wouldn't have died. How did they die? My father had another phone, but he put it somewhere else. He had a phone as he was dialing 911. As he was dialing 911, some put the government on the phone and shot him. And that was it. What about your mother? She died a few days later. She died of a heart. Her heart was broken. Her mother, if only super were not around that day. If only superhero were not illegal. My dad would have called Ironic and he would have shown up and Ironic would have done something then to help, because he looked up too much up to Ironic. And that's the sad truth. We all looked up to you. And then that happens halfway through the movie. Like at the same spot it happens in the regular movie. Okay, so after they beat the Green Slaver, who turns out to be his son, Buddy Pine gave it in. Here's a big twist. I bet you're not going to see the comment. Syndrome's alive. How? You're probably wondering. How is he alive? You're probably thinking. He's alive. Well, not really. He's not really alive. Well, he gave his DNA. So his dad died, but there are many, like how, people can give their blood. He only got married to Mariah. He got married to some lucky girl, and that kid became, and they said, if only your father, Mr. Incredible, did not kill my father. And all he said was, take him away, officer. Then we get a cut. This happens near the end of the film where Mr. Incredible just says, take them away, officers. And then a few days later, we hear, do you take Violet? What? Do you take Tony Ranger to be your husband? As we end the movie with Violet getting married to Tony, and then we get another kind of cut to a few months later, to the same night after the wedding, when they were about to go on their honeymoon. they hear in the car that there's a robbery. She even has her own car. She calls it, well, yes, they have names for themselves. Let me go over that really quickly. Dash, I call him Super B Guy. Violet, I call her Teleporting Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman. And that's their super name, by the way. Invisible Woman for Violet and B Guy for Dash. As she hears on the radio in her car, which her dad gave her when she heard of robbery, and she said, Tony, as she literally says, Tony, time for us. As she has the same setup, but on the dashboard, she has the same setup as the Incredible for like her father, and in the film, and with Tony saying, "Who are you? You, Violet? Who are you? Don't you recognize me? I'm Invisible Woman." And we drive off into the sunset, set with Dash, with all the super, with also Helen also gets a Elasta bike. As they hear on the radio while they're in their honeymoon. Yeah. Well, it's a few months. Tony, I'm sorry. No, hun. I want to come with you. No, hun. I want to come with you. As he sits in the passenger seat, then she flips a new button on the radio. You have to see which of her family are closest. Dash, and Mr. Incredible are closest. So she says, Mr. Incredible and so she said, Mr. Incredible and Big Guy, Super Big Guy, I need you. Hun, I'm closer too. As it was actually a gang. As the movie ends with all of them running or being, and Tony saying, now that I'm with this super family, now that I'm with this family of superheroes, what else can happen? And we end the movie with Tony saying, actually saying something like, "Hun, what? Can you take the wheel?" As they change places, "Hun." As the passenger seat goes, she has basically a different suit set up than Mr. Incredible, where she also has, as he said, and she changed it into her costume and said, I'm almost, and we end the movie with her getting on, the final thing is her getting on her mask, and Tony saying, Violet, is that you? Yes, it's me. I've been wanting to tell you for years, but as they speed off into the sunset, and we end the Incredible 2 with Tony realizing who Violet is. You're Invisible Woman, aren't you? As she only nods as the camera pans out with her car, that also is the car that they took on their honeymoon, and we end the Incredible 2 with that. With Jim. She only saying one last line before the credits roll. Hold on tight. This has been Not Pond Guide on How to Fit Broken Movies, and later today will be the first installment of Not Pond Guide on How to Fit Broken TV Shows. Until then, I'm Not Pond, and I will see you later.